Good morning and hello to whomever is viewing this video. So, the topic of discussion today is about, is it just to make voting mandatory in the United States? So, the United States has had a issue with always getting people to the polls, and here's why. So, only about 50% of eligible voters actually participate in the voting process. And also, this is a relatively low number compared to that of other countries. And here's why it may be different. There is about 25 other countries that make voting mandatory, or it's also called compulsory voting. These countries include Australia, and we may even be able to learn some things by gaining their model. So, overall, the topic of discussion is making a point to say that voting should be mandatory. The United States prides itself on having a fair and democratic government system, but the issue is the voter turnout. And this is why we should make voting mandatory, because what it will do is create an inclusive feeling for everyone in the nation, because there have been issues of people either being swayed away from voting, or they just don't feel like they're being included at all. So what compulsory voting would do is create a culture that's more inclusive for all citizens. So according to a Stanford website, a woman named Emily Chapman, an assistant professor of political science, stated that this really offers the society a widespread message, pretty much stating that there is no such thing as political class in our democracy, and voting is something that is for everybody, including and especially people at the margins of society. And that margin is kind of directed toward people who are lower income, or even the youth, ages ranging from 18 to 25. And those numbers are ridiculously low because they simply aren't aware of how a vote can impact themselves, their family, and their future. Also, the quality of campaigns can improve with compulsory voting if voting was mandatory. According to an article from Scholastic Geek, if voting were mandatory in the U.S., people would be more inspired to pay more attention to campaigns and current events. Compulsory voting would also allow candidates to spend less time getting voters to the polls and rather explaining where they stand on key issues. And one thing to note is other countries have seen the same positive effects of politicians really focusing on the issues at hand. And also there has been a decrease in some campaign funding because it's not necessarily as needed, because again, the focus isn't on rallying people to get together just to simply get them to vote, but really focusing on the issues at hand that will impact them, their society, and everyone around them. And that's just a few reasons why compulsory voting should be mandatory within the U.S. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time. Have a good day.